Howdy boys and girls, Mac from Double Tap Shooting. I'm going to talk a little bit about, I had a guy walk up on me the other day who was a concealed carry instructor who was just promoting his business, come up to me, walked up to me, handed me a business card out in the street and said, hey, everybody and their brother's taking concealed carry courses right now, we teach them too, blah, 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 which I don't have a problem with anybody promoting their business, that's fine. So in the course of the conversation, I said, hey, I'm actually a concealed carry instructor myself, have been for a long time. Appreciate the offer, thanks. And then he proceeds to start this conversation about what do you carry, what do you do, and that's all fine and dandy too. But then he jerks his gun out of his holster to show me what his gun looks like, and he had some dressed up Kimber or whatever it was. Had every Ninja 5 bell and whistle you could put on it. And so we go on, and I hate to say it, but I don't want to say I was nervous by him, but his handling skills were, first thing he did when he came out of the holster was lay his finger on the trigger. Now the safety wasn't defeated, and he never pointed it at me. But not real impressed with his gun handling skills, but that's not even what this video is about. What this is about is, first of all, if you're going to identify, the only person you're required to identify by law in Oklahoma anyway, that you are in possession of a concealed firearm as a police officer in the course of any arrest, detainment, or traffic stop or conversation. So why he felt the need to show me his gun, it was obviously show and tell for him. He had a $1,500, $1,600, $1,800 handgun, whatever he paid for it, and it was show and tell time for him. Oh, I got this, and it looks. The less people that know you're carrying a gun, in my opinion, the better off you are. Was I carrying a gun? Sure, I was carrying a gun. Everybody that watches my videos know I'm always carrying a gun. But, 5 minutes into his telling, he was like, well, what do you carry? I said, well, I carry berry. Well, what are you carrying right now? Well, I just don't happen to be carrying it right now. He didn't need to know I was carrying a gun at that moment. And everybody knows what I carry during the day is Glock 19. I understand this is not a Glock 19. It's just eye candy while we're sitting here talking about this. But one of the problems I see right now is everybody, and I call them gear donors, the people that put more time, effort, and thought into showing everybody their guns than actually taking the time to learn to use them is an issue. But put a little bit of thought into your mindset of how you're carrying. If you're carrying, you are carrying a gun for one reason and one reason only: the ability, the how can I say this? Should the need ever arise, take out your gun and kill another human being because they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. That's why you carry a gun. You do not carry it for show and tell. You do not carry it to, trying to impress your buddies or whatever. It's not why you were given a concealed carry weapons permit. You were given a carry permit to protect your life in a need. Now, arguably one way or the other, whether or not you take your gun out just to show somebody, you may be breaking the law. If you raise fear in the minds of somebody, what if we were actually standing in an area where there wasn't anybody around, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but should we have been in an area where there was a bunch of people around, by him taking out that gun, he was going to make somebody nervous. And that's what, first of all, is what gives the anti-gun crowd a lot of ammunition. Because when you make people nervous, they start to think, well, that one guy had a gun and he had a permit, and maybe I don't want people to carry guns because he was obviously being, outlandish with it. And leave your gun in your damn holster. Nobody wants to see your gun. There's a time and a place for that, and on the street when you run into somebody is not the time to have that conversation. Constantly seeing people out on the street discussing, what they've done to secure their home, and what measures you've taken to secure your home are better when people don't know what they are. What countermeasures you plan for, if somebody does this, I'm going to do that. That, again, is better if they don't know what your response is going to be. So if you start telling people, well, I've got gun safe, but the locks don't work real well on it, or I never keep it locked, or, I keep it closed and I keep the latch done, but I always, turn the combination dial a little bit so it's just real easy to get to. I don't have to run through the entire conversation. You are telling people stuff that they don't need to know. It's like setting your luggage combination to 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably not the smartest thing you're ever going to do. Keep that stuff to yourself. Don't get a whole bunch of information out there for ultimately somebody you don't want to have that information to come up with, because very simply this guy could, I didn't know him, he could have been some dirtbag who was just probing me for information. And I said, well, I got 600 guns at the house, and I don't really lock my gun safes. I just leave them. And you say all that stuff. Next thing you know, in the middle of the conversation, he's like, well, what else do you have in your house to secure it? Well, I've got an ADT security system or whatever you have. Oh, okay. But, I don't turn it on all that much, just when we're going to be really gone from the house, like if we leave state or if we leave town for a couple days or all that. During the day, we don't really turn it on. You are giving that person information. Now, maybe they're just wanting to have a conversation and there's no ill intent in it, but maybe this guy is probing you. Maybe he has, they know you have a bunch of guns, or they know you have a bunch of whatever at your house, and they're taking this opportunity to soften you up and find out what they're going to have to deal with if they come into your home. It's just like not telling people when you're not going to be home. You don't just advertise the fact that, we're getting ready to leave town for 4 or 5 days. And there's a couple of things that go with that. One, your kids, Facebook. Don't let your kids, if you're getting ready to go to Disneyland for a week, don't let your kids put that stuff on Facebook 2 or 3 or 4 days before you leave. You're setting yourself up for failure. Bad guys, unfortunately, in many, many situations, especially in smaller towns. I'm not a big city boy, so I'm not sure exactly how well this works in big cities. But in littler towns, most of the time the people doing the breaking in are people that or you might not be friends with them or whatever, but you know who they are. And they have become friends on Facebook with friends of yours and friends of yours and friends of friends of friends. And I don't know how many tier levels there are in Facebook to where they can see the post on your wall. But, if they're looking for a big score and everybody and their brother knows you have a bunch of guns in your house, and then your daughter puts on Facebook 4 days before you leave, well, we're going to be gone for a week, we're going to Disneyland. You've just given them the prime opportunity to break into your home. So use a little bit of common sense. Like I said, don't be talking about what measures you've taken or what your countermeasures are, or what levels of security you have in your home, or what you have stockpiled if you're a prepper and you've got a bunch of food and all that. Don't tell people what kind of food you have in your house. If you've got 6 months of food, that's awesome. I'm happy for you, but don't tell people that. Because ultimately what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for failure. That is somebody that is going to be a gear donor in that situation. So, anyway, just a little bit of food for thought. Keep what you're doing to yourself. I know in today's Facebook world, everybody is really, in the tell the whole world what I got type thing, or what's going on, or I've got to update my status every 8 minutes because, God, everybody needs to know what... Pay attention to that stuff. More important, pay attention to your kids, because your kids can set you up for failure. There is a little bit of a difference. I am in a teaching type world where I have people that come and look to me for advice and all that, so I do discuss a little bit more, and that's a level of danger I put myself into, trying to help other people. But for God's sake, if you're on the street and you run across another concealed carry holder, don't jerk your gun out of the holster to show them what you're carrying. 99% of the time, it'll be fine. But that 1% of the time, it's going to have an ill effect of some kind, whether it's somebody from a sideline sees you and they just decide you're aggressing them people, and whatever happens, leave the gun in the holster. The whole point of concealed carry is that the gun is concealed. Now, if you're an open carry advocate and you're wearing your gun on your hip, somebody comes up and says, "Wow, that's a nice gun. That's a really pretty Kimber," or whatever you're carrying. Thank them. Go on your way. Don't take the gun out of the holster. Guns should come out of the holster when you're ready to use them, not for show and tell. Anyway, like I said, I'm Mac from Double Tap Shooting. Just a little bit of food for thought. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.